Legal cases, legal issues, legal matters. You're watching WFTV's Law Talk with anchor Christopher Heath and expert legal analyst, attorney Mark NeJame.
All right, so let's talk about some of the current cases, issues, and legal matters that our viewers are talking about. Joining me today is legal analyst attorney Mark NeJame of the NeJame Law Firm, and of course John Zielinski, who manages the civil litigation part of the NeJame Law Firm. Today we're talking about reputation, specifically online reputation, and it's so easy for consumers to get on and leave a review, but there's a difference between leaving an opinion review and saying something that can cross over into the legal realm, correct?
That's exactly right, Chris. We get more calls on this area probably as much as any other area, on online defamation. And it has really become just a hot area because of the proliferation of the internet. We live and breathe with it. And because of the strength of some companies such as Google and others, it turns out that many businesses rely on these reviews, and it can be a make it or break it situation. We know that competitors come in and put false reviews on. We know that clients, customers have a bad experience, a legitimate bad experience, and they post. But we also know that many go ahead and cross the line, and they go into defamation. They're being retaliatory. They're doing all sorts of things, which really question their legal ability for them to do that. And we find that we get a tremendous amount of calls and a lot of business as a result of this online defamation. And so many people don't know the difference. They don't know when they're crossing the line, and they don't know how to take these reviews down and this defamation down online.
And John, that is a really important point. It's the difference between I didn't like the service and you ripped me off, you stole from me. One of those is my opinion of the service I received. The other is me saying something happened that is provable, correct?
Absolutely. The basic definition of defamation is a false statement made to a third party. And on the internet, you're making it to third parties. You're publishing it to the world. And if there is a statement that you make, and a good example, a nice black and white example, is I call you, they ripped me off, is your example. Well, when you say they ripped you off, that suggests theft, stealing, and those are criminal acts. Whereas if you just say, I had a bad experience, I didn't enjoy my meal, that's an opinion, and that's going to be protected speech. You have the right to give your opinion and give a review, even if it's a negative review. But when you cross that line and you make that false statement, when the person has never been convicted of a crime and you're accusing them of a crime, that's where you can get in trouble and be on the receiving end of a defamation lawsuit.
And Mark, you mentioned that, businesses, they all live online. It is that Google review, where you are in the Google rankings, what people find when they search your business, on any search engine. And consumers have so many options in front of them to leave those reviews in a moment. It can get very dicey very quick.
It does. We bring lawsuits against those people who do such things. And John gave a perfect example. If I were to say, Chris Heath, you're a thief, that's defamation, unless in fact you truly were a thief. Alternatively, if I say, I believe you're a thief, that's an opinion. There's a difference between claiming a fact and suggesting an opinion. So you've got to thread those needles. And also, people hide behind anonymity. They come up with false names, they come up with a Gmail address that they don't think is trackable or traceable. And then we have to go through the court proceedings to track it down. And the penalties can be severe. The civil penalties can be quite significant for defamation, because if you're causing somebody a business loss, which happens when you get a bad review, and it's false, or you're a competitor, or you're making up things, or you're stating something that's truly defamatory, you've got liability that you're looking at. And it hurts. It's a big deal for businesses.
And John, I got to imagine there's kind of two parts to this. One is the review itself and litigating that. The other is also dealing with some of these internet companies and saying, this person has posted something that we can prove did not happen. It seems like there's really two avenues here, both of which impact the business and its bottom line.
Absolutely. And then the subject of the review that wants to get rid of it has some options here. You can sue the person that's making the review, as Mark indicated. If there's a anonymous posts, that can be a little more difficult tracking down who is that person. But most of the reputable websites, Google, for example, Yelp, those kind of websites, they have policies. And if you read through their policies and you compare the review to the policies, oftentimes you can just communicate as the business owner and say, they're in violation of your policies. That'll get it off the internet very quickly and for the least amount of expense, is if you can get them to recognize that there was a policy violation.
And may I say, Chris, in addition to what John just said, when people are hiding behind a cloak of anonymity, we can still bring John Doe lawsuits. So we can go ahead and use that name, although it's a fake name, and then bring it before the court and get a restraining order or an order to take it down, and then we have to go through the system and get it to Google or whoever. And some are harder than others. You know, some companies are simply harder than others. But as we've done it so much and have such familiarity, you just have to know where to go and the best path for the client. And unfortunately, for many people, it is not economically feasible for them because they're in there, they're out making a living, and there is an expense associated with that. So there is a way to follow the rules and the practices that are laid out with the company, as John said. But a lot of times you run into a dead end, and that's what we hear so much from so many customers and clients, that they went ahead, they objected to it, but Google still didn't take it down, and then they're having to go to a lawyer for the next effort.
And for so many businesses, that's their livelihood. John, thank you so much. Mark, thank you as always. Thank you both for your legal insight and for joining us today. To watch this and other law talks, visit our website, wftv.com/legal, or join us each week right here on Facebook. I'm Christopher Heath. Thanks for watching.
WFTV's Law Talk was brought courtesy of the Personal Injury and Accident Division of NeJame Law.